Hi dear students, welcome to Geeta's classes. Today we are going to solve the discrete mathematics paper which was conducted by JNTUH on 24/7/2021. And this was the paper. Each question I am going to solve. I hope this will be useful for verifying whether you have written well or not. Okay. So how many questions you have written well, you can find out. So give a direct proof and an indirect proof for if n is an integer, n is an odd integer, then n plus 9 is an even integer. So here we are going to assign these two as PQ. So P conditional, Q is the given statement. So direct proof means what? You have to assume P and you are going to prove the Q statement. Okay. So what is the P statement here? If n is an odd integer and you have to prove that n plus 9 is an even integer. Directly assume P and arrive at Q. So first let us see direct method. In the direct method we have to assume P. So let n be an odd integer. I am assuming P to be true and we have to prove that Q is true. Okay. So odd integer means what? All of you know that n is equal to either 2n plus 1 or 2n minus 1 you can write. So let n is equal to, because it is an odd integer, n is equal to 2n plus 1 we can assume. Now consider n plus 9. N plus 9, that is 2 into some number plus 1. Okay, plus 1 odd integer. So what is n plus 9? And n is equal 2n plus 1, n is 2n plus 1 plus 9. It is equal to 2n plus 10, which is equal to 2 into n plus 5. Please remember, odd means it will be of the form 2n plus 1 or 2n minus 1. Even will be of the form 2n. Okay, 2 into any number, any integer. And given that n is an integer. Okay, so 2n is even, 2n plus 1 is odd. Now 2 into some integer, n is an integer we know, and n plus 5 is also an integer we know. So 2 into integer is even. Therefore n plus 9 is even. Okay, that is what we have to prove. N plus 9 is an even integer. Is an even integer, you can see. That is 2 into some number we got. Okay, some integer we got. That's why this is an integer. Therefore n plus 9 is an even integer. Therefore this is what we have to prove. Okay, hence prove. And next one is indirect method. Indirect method you can write what is I think you have already studied contrapositive, converse and all, right? So here indirect method, I am going to use contrapositive. You know that any statement and its contrapositive, they are equivalent, right? So if contrapositive means if P is, now we are going to prove by contraposition or contrapositive. So if P conditional Q is the given proposition, then not Q conditional, not P, is its contrapositive. Is its contrapositive. Right? Therefore now you have to prove that if n plus, now our statement will become if n plus 9 is not an even integer, not an odd integer, even integer. Yeah, n plus 9 is not an even integer. N plus 9 is not an even integer. Then n is not an odd integer. Not an odd integer, right? So that is, and you know that either if n is an integer If it is an integer, either it has to be odd or it has to be even. Okay, only two are possible for any integer. We know that n is an integer, therefore it has to be either odd or even. If it is not even integer, it means that it is an odd integer, right? So if n plus 9 is an odd integer, then n is an even integer. This is what we have to prove. Very simple proof only. Okay. So now we have to assume that now this is our not p and not q, right? So n plus 9, let n plus 9 is equal to 2n plus 1. N is an odd, n plus 9 is an odd integer, therefore this is what we have to assume. Okay. So n plus 9 is equal to 2n plus 1. Now we can simplify this. I have to find out n. Okay, what about the value of n? So 2n minus, this implies 2n minus n is equal to, you bring this n to the right hand side, 1 to the other side. So 9 minus 1, it is 8. So what is 2n minus n? N is equal to 2 into 4, which is even. Which is even. This is what we have to prove. n plus 1, we have assumed that this is an odd integer. And we have proved that n is even integer. Hence the proof. Okay. By this, by contraposition, P conditional Q is true. This is also to be written. Here, we have proved that not Q conditional, not P, we have proved. Hence, by contrapositive or contraposition, method, P conditional Q is true. Okay, this is what we have proved. And second question, it is 1b. This is first A. Okay, this is 1A. And in 1b, show that the following statement is a tautology. That's what they asked. What is that statement? Not P and not P and Q not P and Q conditional not Q. And you are asked to prove that it is a tautology, but according to me I have not got this tautology. Let us check once again. Not P is what? Not P is FF. You know this table, how to form this table, right? So not P is FF T T, right? And what is not Q? FT FT. And next I am going to take the innermost bracket, that is not P and Q. Not P and Q is between these two, right? So TF and means only both T, it will become T, otherwise it is F. So T F, right? And next is not P and Q, that is and between these two columns, and between these two columns again F T F, right? Now next is this column, not P and Q conditional not Q. So here not P, and this is our fifth column, sixth, 1 2 3 4 5 6th, this is sixth column. So sixth column conditional, where is not Q? Fourth one, right? So and now you have, whenever you have this conditional, you have to search for TF. So only for TF it will become false, all the other combinations it is true. So only for this it will become, all the others are true. So true. Only for TF it will become false. So I am not getting tautology. And please remember, even if there is a mistake in the question paper, okay, if there is anything here, you can post it in the comment box, right? And whenever you have written, even if the question is a mistake, if you have formed this table, definitely you will get full marks. Okay, 7 marks or 8 marks that you will get whenever you are getting this table. If you form this table, definitely you will be able to get the full marks. Okay, so even if there is a mistake in the question paper. And the second one, what is the second question? Let x is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and r is equal to, this is the relation, x minus y is divisible by 3. Then x is related to y in x. So if you mean that in x or on x, the function is from, the relation is from x to x. Okay. So r is a relation from x to x. That is the meaning. And first let us write x cross x. This is a Cartesian product and we know that the relation is a subset of the Cartesian product. First let me write the Cartesian product. So x comma x is equal to 1 comma 1, 1 comma 2, 1 comma 3 and so on, 1 comma 7, right? And 2 comma 1, 2 comma 2, 2 comma 3 and so on, 2 comma 7, etc. up to 7 comma 1, 7 comma 2, 7 comma 3 and so on up to 7 comma 7. Okay, so since x comma y belongs to R, if x minus y is divisible by 3. So what is the meaning here? You take the difference between these two and if it is divisible by 3, then it is there in the relation. See, from Cartesian product we are going to always remember relation is a subset of Cartesian product. Okay, all the elements will be there in the Cartesian product. Okay, so x minus y belongs to R if x minus y is divisible by 3. So 1 minus 1, 0. Is it? Now you have to check for all the elements, you have to check whether it is divisible by 3. Find the difference and whether it is divisible by 3. That you have to check. Okay, so what is our R set? 1 comma 1. Yes, 1 comma 1, 1 minus 1, 0. It is divisible by 3. 1 minus 2 is minus 1 or 2 comma 1. Yeah, 1 minus x minus y. So 1 minus 2 is minus 1, right? Minus 1 is not divisible by 3. So don't consider this element. Don't consider 1 minus 3 because 1 minus 3 is minus 2. Okay. So here next element will be 1 comma 4, right? And 1 comma 7. Hope all of you understood. 1 minus 7 is minus 6. So it is divisible by 3. And 2 comma 2, 2 comma 5, 3 comma 3, 3 comma 6, 4 comma 1, 4 comma 4, 4 comma 7, 5 comma 2 and 5, 5. In the 6, 6, 3, 6, 6, 5, 5, 4, 4, 6, 6 and all you have to write because 4 minus 4, 0, 5 minus 5, 0. So everything is divisible by 0 is divisible by 3. So I have to consider those elements also. 7, 4, 7, 7 and so on. Okay. So now we have to check. This is our relation. Now you have to check whether this is reflexive. What is the definition for equivalence relation? You are asked to prove that R is an equivalence relation. Okay. So you have to prove whether it is reflexive and symmetric and transitive. Is it reflexive? What is the condition for reflexive? For all the elements in X, X should be related to X. That is X comma X should be in the set R. What is there in the set capital X? It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1 comma 1 should be there. 2 comma 2, yes it is there. 3 comma 3 is there. 4 comma 4 is there. 5, 5 is there, 6, 6 is there, 7, 7 is there. It is reflexive. Therefore, it is reflexive. Okay, from the set we can find from the set we can find this is true. Therefore R is reflexive. R is reflexive. So this is the first condition. Okay. And second one, what is symmetric? Now we have to prove that it is symmetric. That is, if for all x comma y in the set X, you must be able to prove if x comma y belongs to R, then y comma x should be in R. That is, if x is related to y should be related to x. Is it possible? 1 comma 1, 1 comma 1. Yes, it is there. Next is 1 comma 4 means 4 comma 1 should be there. Yes, it is there. For every element you can check. For 1 comma 7, 7 comma 1 should be there. Yes, it is also there. 2 comma 2, 2 comma 2 only. 2 comma 5, 5 comma 2 is there. 3 comma 3, 3, 3 only. 3, 6 and 6, 3. Yes. Next is 4, 1 is over. 4, 4. 4, 7, 7, 4. Yes. 5, 5, 7. For all the elements, it is proved. From the table, we can find out that from the table again, from the given set R, we find this is true. Therefore, R is symmetric. R is symmetric. And third condition, for all x comma, if you consider 3 elements x, y, z in R, that is, for all x comma 3 elements, for x comma y comma z in X, if x comma y and y comma z are in R, in the relation R, then x comma z should be there in R. X comma z should be there in the relation R. Okay. So now let us check 1 comma 4 and you start from 4 comma 1. If you consider these two elements 1 comma 4 and 4 comma 1, 1 comma 1 should be there. Yes, it is there. You can verify like this. Okay. For any element if you consider it is true, it will become true. Right. Now let us assume. Let us take 1 comma 7. From 7 you find out some element. Yeah, 7 comma 1. Yeah, 1 1 is there. Suppose 1 7 and 7 4 if you consider. 1 7 and 7 4. And what should be there? 1 comma 4. Yes, 1 comma 4 is there. Like this you can verify. Okay. It is clear that it is obvious. Okay. From the set. Therefore, R is transitive also. Now we have proved that R is reflexive, R is symmetric and R is transitive. Therefore, R is an equivalence relation. R is an equivalence relation. Got it? Very easy only. Next, consider the function f from n to n and g from z to n be defined as follows. F of x is defined as 3x plus 2, g of x is defined from x squared to x squared plus 1. Okay. Specify the functions f composition g and g composition f. Yesterday only in the live class I have explained all these things. You can go through that. Let's study DM. I have one series of classes. In this I have explained. Let's study DM in this unit 2. Okay, unit 2, class 3 or 4, class 4, unit 2, class 4, you can find out these definitions and all. Okay, 3 and 4 you can go through if you want to have an idea. Class 3 and 4. Okay, you will understand more. So now f composition G. F is the function from n to n and z is a function from z to n. F composition G means f of g of x. Suppose if you want to find out f composition g of x, that is f of g of x. So first we have to find out g is from z to n and f is from n to n. Okay. So g of x will be available in the set n. X is from z. We are going to consider first g. We are going to apply g from z to n, then apply f from n to n. Okay. So we have to consider the elements from the z set only. and the images will be in N, and these images will be in the domain of F, and the answers will be in N. So F composition G will be from Z to N. Z to N. Okay, this is one part. Next part, G composition F. What is G composition F of X? G composition F of X is equal to G of F of X. G of F of X. Okay, so first we have to consider F of X first. F is from N to N, and G is from Z to N. Now you will get a confusion. Now N, you have to consider the elements from N, and the images will be in N. Now these images should be there in the domain of G. Is it available? Yes. Here F of X is a subset of, that is N. This all the elements, images of N will be, images under F will be there in the N only. And we know that N is a subset of Z. So if it is there, definitely it will be there. This is the set of natural numbers and Z is the set of integers. Now this is a subset only, definitely all these will be available. All the elements of F of X will be available in Z also, because it is a subset. Okay, so we can consider this also exists. So G composition F will be from N to N, natural numbers to natural numbers only. This is what they have given. To confuse you, they will give. Now they are not equal. No, these two are not equal, whether we can consider not or not. We can consider because it is a subset. Okay. So range of F should be subset of domain of G. Yes, it is satisfying that. So that is why they have given, to confuse. If they exist, give a valid argument. If they are not existing. Okay. So now let us consider F composition G of X is F of G of X. What is G of X? X squared plus 1. So this is equal to 3 into, now F of 3 into X, if it is X, 3 into X plus 2. So 3 into X squared plus 1 plus 2. That is equal to 3x squared plus 3 plus 2. That is 3x squared plus 5. Okay. Next is G composition F of X. That is G of F of X. That is G of, what is F of X? 3x plus 2. Right. What is G of X? X squared. So whatever is there, you have to square it. So 3x plus 2 the whole square. That is equal to 9x squared plus 12x. 3 into 2, 6, 6 into 2, 12. So 12x plus 4 plus 1. Okay. So this is equal to 9x squared plus 12x plus 5. So from these two you can understand that G composition F not equal to F composition. This is what you are asked to find out. F composition G, it is from this set Z to N, and G composition is F is from N to N. Okay. Let's move on to the third question. Third question is well-formed formula. It is any formula. The prepositions, no, if A comma B are prepositions, whenever you are seeing this preposition, first of all you have to find out whether it is a well-formed formula or not. Okay. So we have some rules for forming that well-formed formula. Okay. Now well-formed formula, I will give you well-formed formula. For compound statements. Compound statements. Form. I'll give you the steps, and from this we can easily find out. Okay. So first is basis step, and we can define. We are going to define before this. We can define this involving T, F, the variables T, F, and any prepositional variables, and operators. Which are the operators we can use? Logical operators. Operators from the set. From the set not, and, or, conditional, biconditional. Okay. So now let us see the basis step. Basis step is T, F and any variable. You need not write yes. According to the book it is yes. That's why I have written yes. You can use any variable. Okay. Yes, where yes is a prepositional. Yes is a prepositional variable or well-formed formulas. Okay, WFF means well-formed formula. So now if you consider only T, it is a well-formed formula. F alone, it is a well-formed formula. Any, suppose if you have if you are writing P, a single variable, yes, it is a preposition, means it is a well-formed formula. Okay. So what is not well-formed formula? Suppose if you are writing P and, if you write like this, it is not a well-formed formula. You cannot find out these things. Okay, they don't exist. So this kind of well-formed formulas means you should know whether S is a preposition or not. Now we can combine. This is the basic step is if you have the prepositional variables alone. Okay, variables standing alone, they are well-formed formulas. Now we are going to combine them. That is given in the recursive step. Recursive step. If E and F F means we use for this false, no? So let us write P. If P and Q are well-formed formulae, then not P. Let us apply these operators one by one. So not P. Then what is the second one? P and Q, and P R Q, P conditional Q, P biconditional Q are also well-formed formulas. Okay, so one by one you can apply. That is, you can apply not P, you can apply either P and Q and so on. So this is what we are going to prove by applying all these things, whether it is a well-formed formula or not. Okay, so first, what is the given expression? Not of A biconditional B not of A biconditional B and C are not A conditional B is well formed. To be, you have to prove that it is well formed. Okay. Now let us consider to prove that it is well formed formula. So now consider A conditional A by, we know that let A and B be two well formed formulas. Let A and B be prepositions, or A, B, C be prepositions. If it is a preposition, then it is a well formed formula. Okay. Therefore, which are well formed formula? Then A, B, C. If they are prepositions, we know that by basis step, then A, B, C are well formed formulas by basis step. Okay. Now let us consider innermost bracket. Let us see. Now I am going to apply A and B. Within between A and B, I am going to apply biconditional. So therefore, A biconditional B is a well-formed formula by recursive step. This is what is given in the recursive step, right? What is given? If P and Q are any two well-formed formulas, then P biconditional Q is also well-formed formula. P and Q is also well-formed formula, like this. So you have to keep on applying these things. So next is A biconditional, sorry, A biconditional B. No, now A biconditional B and C. This is a well-formed formula. This is a well-formed formula. Therefore, combining with AND is also a well-formed formula, using the same step only. Now, if you take, now consider not A is also a well-formed formula. I have applied negation in A. Okay. So, not A is a well-formed formula. Conditional B is also a well-formed formula. So, all these things are using the same recursive steps only. Okay. Now, you have to take R between these two. Wait. The negation is applied for the first one only, right? Yes. So after this you have to write this. Negation is applied only for the first part. So negation of A biconditional B and C is a well-formed formula. Now negation A is a well-formed formula. And negation of A conditional B is also, because this is a well-formed formula, this is also well-formed formula. I am applying conditional in this. Now you have to take this and this or this. Okay. So negation of A biconditional B. This is negation of A biconditional B and C, or negation of A conditional B. See, opening, if you open a bracket, it should be closed. Okay. If you don't close, if you miss one bracket also, it is not a well-formed formula. Be careful. Is a well-formed formula. Therefore, this is what is asked. Okay. So this is a well-formed formula. Next, explain the principle of strong induction with example. This is available in the channel with mathematical induction. You can go through. I have explained what is a strong induction principle and all. Okay. Well ordering principle, strong induction principle, all those things are available in under the heading mathematical induction. Please go through that. That is the definition only. Okay. Definition with example. Next is using induction principles prove that n cube plus 2n is divisible by 3. So using mathematical induction, we are going to assume that s of n is equal to n cube plus 2n be the given form. Okay. So to prove that s of n is divisible by 3. You have to prove that it is true for all the values of n. N cube plus 2n, let s of n be n cube plus 2n is divisible by 3. Now we have to prove that s of 1, s of k and k should be assumed, and you have to prove that s of k plus 1 is true. So let us take, let n is equal to 1. Basis step, n is equal to 1. So what is s of 1? We have to prove that s of 1 is true. That is 1 cube plus 2 into 1, which is 3, right? Yes, we know that it is divisible by 3. It is divisible by 3, therefore s of 1 is true. Okay, so basis is true. Next you have to assume the hypothesis s of k. Let s of k be true. That is s of k plus 1. This is our mathematical hypothesis. We can assume this. S of k plus 1 is true. That is k cube plus 2k is divisible by 3. In the place of n, you just write k is divisible by 3. K cube plus 2k is divisible by 3. Now we have to prove that the next value s of k plus 1 is true. Okay. So now what is s of k? Is k cube plus 2k. K cube plus 2k is true, is divisible by 3. Now consider s of k plus 1. S of k plus 1 is what? Wherever you find k, you have to replace it by k plus 1, right? So k plus 1 the whole cube plus 2k. Now we have to prove, 2 into k plus 1. Wherever you have k, you have to replace it by k plus 1. Now we have to prove that this is divisible by 3. Okay. So k cube, now expand it, plus 3k square plus 3k plus 1 plus 2k plus 2. Right. Now you consider k cube. You take this 2k this side. Now we have this k cube plus, we know that k cube plus 2k is divisible by 3. Okay. So consider, bring this term to the first one, right? So these two are first considered. Now combine the remaining terms. 3k, what are all remaining? 3 square, k squared plus 3k plus 1 plus 2, 3. Okay. What is this? K cube plus 2k plus 3 into, you take 3 out, all these, in all these terms 3 is common, right? So 3 into k squared plus k plus 1, right? Therefore, now we know that it is a multiple of 3. K is an integer. So k is a multiple of, 3 into an integer. So this is a multiple of 3. By hypothesis we know, by our assumption, we know that s of k is true. That is k cube plus 2k is divisible by 3. This is a multiple of 3, therefore it is divisible by 3. Therefore s of k plus 1 is divisible by 3. Therefore, hence by mathematical induction, we have proved that s of 1 is true, we have assumed s of k is true, and we have proved that s of k plus 1 is true. Therefore, by mathematical induction, s of n is true for all n. Okay. This is fourth question, right? Yeah. Next is fifth question. Find the general solution of solution for the recurrence relation. Always remember, for the recurrence relation T of n means you should not have the previous values. Okay, it should not be in terms of previous values. Solution means you have to find out in terms of n. Now the question is n cube. 4 into n plus n cube, where n is greater than or equal to 1 and t of 0 is equal to 5. This is the question, right? Now, this is our t of n. So, I am going to write it as t of n is equal to the previous term t of n minus 1 plus 4n plus 4n cube. Okay. What is t of n minus 1? Let this be equation number 1. So, what is t of n minus 1? T of n minus 1 is the previous term t of n minus 2 plus 4 into, here if you have n, here also you have n. So n minus 1 plus 4 into n minus 1 the whole cube. Okay. And now in general, this is 4 n minus 1. Yes. I am going to substitute this n minus 1 in the first term. So t of n is equal to, substituting in 1. I have found out t of n minus 1. I am going to substitute here. So t of n minus 2 plus 4 into n minus 1 plus 4 into n minus 1 the whole cube plus 4n cube. Okay. This otherwise I will write it as t of n minus 2 plus 4 into n minus 1 plus 4n. I am going to combine these two terms. Okay. They are of the same kind, that's why. Plus 4 into n minus 1 the whole cube plus 4n cube. What will be the next term? T of n minus 2 is t of n minus 3 plus 4 into t of n minus 2 and 4 into n minus 2 the whole cube and so on. So if you write in general, so t of n is equal to, if you keep on writing you will get like this. So t of n minus k plus 4 into n minus k plus 1 plus n minus k plus 2 plus etc. n minus 1 plus n, right? Plus 4 into, this is for these two, for 2 you have written this. So for n in general, k terms I have tried. So here 4 into, the same thing, the whole cube. So n minus k plus 1 the whole cube plus n minus k plus 2 the whole cube plus etc. plus n minus 1 the whole cube plus n cube, right? Now what is given? T of 0 is given. So let us, now n minus k you have. So we have to take n is equal to, k is equal to n, right? So let k is equal to n. How to proceed? All these things are available in my channel, recurrence relations, under recurrence relations by substitution method. Okay. So T of n is equal to T of 0. K is equal to n. I am going to substitute. So this will become 0 and this will become 1. This will become 2 and so on, because n minus k will become 0. Okay. So T0 plus, remaining term will be 1 plus 2 plus etc. Here you can see 1, this will be 1, 2, here this will become 0. So 0 plus 1, 0 plus 2 etc. And there is no k means you need not substitute anything. Okay. So 1 plus 2 plus etc. plus n plus, what will be the next term? Here 4 into n minus k the whole, so this will become 0. So 1 cube, this will become 2 cube and so on up to n cube. Again 4 into, here also 4 into 1 cube plus 2 cube plus etc. plus n minus 1 the whole cube plus n cube. Okay. And what is this n1 plus now? What is T of 0 is, T of 0 plus 4 into n into n plus 1, right? What is 1 plus 2 plus etc. up to n? N into n plus 1 divided by 2 plus 4 into, here what is 1 cube plus 2 cube plus etc. This is again formula n plus n into n plus 1 by 2 the whole square. So n squared plus, into n squared into n plus 1 the whole squared, the whole divided by 4. So 4 will get cancelled, here you will get 2. So this will become T of 0 plus 2 into n squared, n into n plus 1. So this will become n squared plus n. So plus 2n squared plus 2n, right? This is n squared plus n and multiply by 2 plus n squared plus n plus 1 the whole square. Or I can expand this also, n squared plus 2n plus 1. Now you combine all the things. T of 0 we know that it is 5, right? Plus 2n squared, here 2 plus 1 3 plus 1 4. So 5 plus 4n squared plus 2n plus 2n, n terms only 2n, so 4n plus 1, that is 4n squared plus 4n plus 6. Okay. So T of n is equal to, this is the solution, 4n squared plus 4n plus 6. Okay. Next question. So this is for this, it is 15 marks question. Very simple. You have to just multiply, not even 2 pages. Okay. So pages in the sense it is in this, because I am writing very big, it is coming to some steps. If you see, maximum of 10 steps only. 9 to 10 steps, it will be given 15 marks. The thing is, you should have some idea. Okay. Now, how many solutions does x1 plus x2 plus x3 is equal to 11 have? x1, x2 and x3 are non-negative integers with this condition, x1 less than or equal to 3 and so on. This is coming under principle of inclusion and exclusion, and I have explained this in my channel in under the heading applications of principle of inclusion and exclusions. I'll give you these inclusion and exclusion. In the description box I'll give you, okay. these addresses. I mean, where is it available for YouTube things? I'll give you. So the number of OR combinations, here you have to assume that this is the formula. Even this formula I have explained in that applications of principle of inclusion and exclusion. Okay, so the number of OR combinations, this you have to remember, OR combinations of n kinds of objects. This is what you are going to apply here. That's why I am writing here. If repetition is allowed, repetition means repetition of objects, okay, is allowed, is C of n plus r minus 1 comma r. That is NCR. If you write NCR in this form, NCR or C of n comma r also. Okay, this is convenient to write. That's why I am writing this. C of n plus r minus 1 comma r. So here the total number of solutions. Let the total number of solutions. Total number of solutions with no restrictions. No restrictions, be capital N. Now let P1, now what are the restrictions we have? X1 less than or equal to 3, X2 less than or equal to 4 and X3 less than or equal to 6. But greater than you have to assume and you have to subtract from N. Okay. So let P1, comma P2, comma P3 denote the properties x1 greater than 3, x2 greater than 4 and x3 greater than 6. Okay. Now the required number of solutions. Therefore the required number of solutions is given by capital N minus of cardinality of P1 plus cardinality of P2 plus cardinality of P3 minus cardinality of P1 intersection P2 minus cardinality of P2 intersection P3 minus cardinality of P1 intersection P3. Minus cardinality of P1 intersection P3, then plus there are 3 sets, no? So cardinality of P1 intersection P2 intersection P3. Okay, this is what you have to go find out. Now let us find out one by one. Now n is equal to, capital N is equal to C of how many? See here you have 11. Maximum can be 11 and variables, there are 3 variables. So 3 plus 11 minus 1 comma 11. Okay. So cardinality of P1, this is equal to, when you simplify this, you will get 78. That is C of 14 minus 1. So 13 comma 11. Okay. So you will get 78. This answer will be, you please check the answers, we can verify. It is 78. So cardinality of P1 will be number of solutions. Number of solutions subject to P1. That is x1 greater than 4, no? Yes. X1 greater than, strictly greater than 3. So you can write x1 greater than or equal to 4, 5, 6, etc. up to 11. It can go up to 11. So x1 greater than or equal to 4 is the condition. That means 4, 5, 6, it can go up to 11. Maximum is 11. Okay. So for this, how will you find out C of 3 plus 7 minus 1 comma 7. That is C of 10 minus 1, so 9 comma 7, which will be 36. Okay. Similarly, you can find out cardinality of P2 is C of 3 plus 6 minus 1 comma 6, which is C of 8 comma 6, which is 28, and cardinality of P3 is C of 3 plus 4 minus 1 comma 4, which is C of 6 comma 4, which is 15. And cardinality of P1 intersection P2 is number of solutions subject to two conditions, right? Subject to, what are the first two conditions? X1 greater than 3, X2 greater than 4. That means I am going to take it as X1 greater than or equal to 4 or X2 and X2 greater than or equal to 5. Okay. So you can find out this as 3 plus 2 minus 1 comma 2. That is common values you have to consider. So C of 4 comma 2, which is 6. Okay. Similarly, cardinality of P2 intersection P3 will be equal to 0, and cardinality of P3 intersection P1 will be equal to 1. This value will get 1. So, and the cardinality of P1 intersection P2 intersection P3 is equal to, again it will become 0. The common values will not be there. It will be equal to 0. Okay. So now substituting, so required number of solutions will be is capital N minus. You have to substitute all these things in the formula. Now let us take this as equation number 1. I am going to substitute all these values in equation number 1. Substituting in 1, we get required number of solutions to be 78 minus of 36 plus 28 plus 15 minus of 6 plus 0 plus 1, right? Yeah, 6 plus 0 plus 1 plus 0. So the final answer will be 6. This is the answer for this question. 6A. Next is 6B. How many bits of string of length 10 contain exactly 4 ones and at most 4 ones? So first one, it is just asking us to choose 4 out of 10 slots to place, right? So C of 10 comma 4, which is equal to 10 factorial by 4 factorial into 6 factorial. You can either apply this formula or 10C4 is equal to 10 into, you can write that also. That means directly you can write 10 into 9 into 8 into 7 divided by 4 factorial. That is 1 into 2 into 3 into 4. So if you simplify, you will be getting 210. And in the second one, at most 4s. So at most 4 means you have to add. Here this is exactly 4 means only 1. At most 4 means 1, 2, 3, 4. All those 0, even 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So you have to write required at most 4 means C of 10 comma 0 plus, you have to add all those things. C of 10 comma 1 plus C of 10 comma 2 plus C of 10 comma 3 plus C of 10 comma 4. Okay. So this is equal to, when you substitute all these things, will be 1 plus 10 plus 45 plus 120 plus 210, which is equal to 386. Okay. This is the question. Next is define a graph, and the graph G is represented by the following adjacency matrix. The matrix was given in the same straight line. There are 25 values, so you can consider it as 5 by 5. Okay, it is a 5 by 5 matrix. So the matrix is given as 0, 1, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. This is the second row, and 1, 1, 0, 0, 1 and 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0. This is the matrix given. Now draw the graph and determine whether G is a tree. Justify your answer. Determine, these are the questions. Okay, Eulerian graph and Hamiltonian we have to find out. Let us draw the graph first. How will you draw the graph first? Let us assume that there are 5 vertices. Okay, let them be A, B, C, D, E. Let us name them as A, B, C, D, E. And A, B, C, D, E. And it is said to be the vertex A and A said to be adjacent. Means what? When there is an edge between them. So there is a loop. There is no loop here because A, all these diagonal values are 0, 0. So there is no loop in the graph. Okay. And A is related to B. Yes. If there is an edge between A and B, if they and B are adjacent, then they will give 1. Otherwise, it is 0. Okay. So by using that condition, I will draw the graph. The graph need not be of same kind. You can draw as you wish. Okay. Here I am drawing like this. According to my convenience, I have taken this as C and I have taken D here, and here it is E. Now A and B are adjacent according to the given matrix. A and B are adjacent. A and C are adjacent. Yes. A and C are adjacent. A and D are also adjacent. Okay. Let us draw these three. Next is coming to B. B is adjacent to A, already we have written, so you need not write. Okay. And B is adjacent to C. Yes, B is adjacent to C. So if you draw like this, C is adjacent to E, B is adjacent to E also, and D is adjacent to E. Okay, this is what the graph, given graph. Is it correct? B is adjacent to A, C, E. A, C, E. Yes. C is adjacent to A, B and E. Adjacent to A, B and E. Yes. Next is D is adjacent to only A and E. Yes. D is adjacent to A and E. Next is E is adjacent to B, C, D. E is adjacent to B, C, D. Yes. It is satisfying all these conditions. Now draw the graph. First part is over. Now second one, is it a tree or not? So first part, draw the graph, is over. And second part, what is that? Determine whether G is a tree or not. Justify your answer. Is it a tree? No, it is not a tree. Tree is a graph. In the tree, I have given the definition. You have to write that definition. Okay. Tree is a graph. It is a connected graph and it should not have cycle or circuit. Okay. Here we have so many cycles. So it is not a tree. Because the graph G contains cycle. Tree will not have a cycle. Okay. And third part, C part, what is given? Determine whether G is Eulerian or not. Eulerian means what? You have to visit all the edges only once. And edges should not be repeated. Okay, you must be able to start from one position, one vertex, and you have to traverse through all the edges only once. You should not be edges should not be repeated. Okay, that is Eulerian graph. And the condition for that graph to be Eulerian is all the vertices must be of even degree. Now, what are the degrees of this? What is degree of A? It is 3. Degree of B is also 3. Degree of C is also 3. Degree of D is also, degree of D is 2. And degree of E is 3. Okay. So these vertices are of not even degree. All these vertices, there are 4 vertices which are of odd degree. Therefore, by the theorem, the non-empty connected graph is all Eulerian. By the theorem, a non-empty connected graph G. Is it connected? It is connected. Okay. Connected graph G is Eulerian if and only if its vertices are all of even degree. Therefore, it is not Eulerian graph. Therefore, it is not, and here all the vertices are of 4 vertices are of odd degree. So, therefore, G is not Eulerian. G is not Eulerian. Okay. Next is Hamiltonian. The same thing, whatever we have done for edges, we have to do for vertices. You have to visit all the vertices only once, and you have to come back to that vertex. If you can find out one such cycle, then it is called Hamiltonian cycle. And if the Hamiltonian cycle exists in the graph, then the graph is Hamiltonian. Now, this is a Hamiltonian graph. See, if I start from A, by seeing this, not only one possibility, you can do anything. See, if I start from A to B, B to E, B to E to C, you have to come back to A, then only you can go to D. But if you start from C, listen, C to B, E, then D, then A to C. You can come back, right? You have to start from C and you can come back to C without visiting any vertices twice. Okay, only once you have to visit all the vertices. So if I consider this C, then B, then E, C, B, E, then D, then A, then C. It is one Hamiltonian cycle. Is a Hamiltonian cycle. You can, even if you start from D also, you can find out one Hamiltonian cycle. Or D, you start from D, go to A, then to B, then to C, E, then you can come back to D. Okay, this is another Hamiltonian cycle. Therefore, G is a Hamiltonian graph. Got it? And still, if you have any doubt, you can go to that topic in my channel. It is available. Please go through that if you have any doubt. Okay, about Hamiltonian and this Eulerian graphs, right? Next is show step-by-step Kruskal algorithm. Even Kruskal algorithm, the theory part is available there. You would have written the steps one by one. Now I will do this part only the problem part I will do. You have to calculate the sum of. Okay, so first what we are going to do is we are going to write the edges with here I will write the edges. I am going to write the edges with in the ascending order of weights. Okay, in the ascending order of weights, and the weights will write. And before that, I will draw these things. Here this is A, and G, B, this is A, and here we have 4 vertices, and here 1, and here 1, right? So this is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Okay, these are the vertices. So always you draw these things, then you should keep on adding the edges. And now you write the edges with weights in the ascending order. Okay, so what is the first weight? AG, it is 1. So AG, it is 1. Then you should keep on adding them. Okay, and the theory part, how to go about it, you please visit the channel and see that video. Okay, so AG is equal to 1. Next is BH is 1. BH is 1. Any other one is there? No. Next is GB is 2. Next you search for 2. CD is 2. Right? Next is any other 2? Yes, EF is 2. You keep on rounding them because you will not leave any edge. Okay, so EF is 2. Next, any other 2? No. Next is go to 3. So AB is 3. AB is 3. Then BC is 3. You need not write in the same order. You can use your own order. No problem in that. Definitely you will get the unique answer only. Final answer will be same only. BC is equal to 3. Then DH is 3. DH is 3. Next is HG is 3. Then EH is 3. Then that's all, no? About 3. Any other 3? All the 3s are over. Next is 4. EG is 4. EG is 4. Then FG is 4. Here, coming here, BD is 4. Then CH is 4. Sorry, this is CD. This is CD, no? BD I have written 4. This is CD. CH is 4. This line is for, this 4 is for CH. Okay. CH and BD. CH is 4. CH. Anything else is left? Yes. DE. DE is 4. EG is 4, right? FH. GH already we have written, and now it is FH is 4. Now everything is rounded, no? DE, yeah, DE I have rounded. Yes. All the values we have written, right? You can count the number and edges, okay, weights, right? Now keep on adding. First AG is 1. You write the weight also here so that it will be easy for us to count. Now BH, yes, BH is 1. Include this yet. Whenever you are including the yet, you should not form a cycle, right? And GB is 2. And BH is 1. Please write the weights also so that it will be easy to add up. GB I have included. What about CD? CD is 2. Yes. And EF is 2. EF. To be included. Then this I have included already. AB is equal to 3. AB is equal to 3. If you include, what will happen? AB is equal to 3. If I include, it will form a cycle, right? So tree should not have a cycle. So AB is equal to 3 should not be included. What about BC? Yes, we can include. BC. You have to include. Okay. Next is DH. What about DH? DH if you include, you will get a cycle. So DH should not be included. What about HG? HG also it will form a cycle. So don't include. What about EH? EH we can include. It is not form a cycle. It will not form a cycle. So it is 3. EH is equal to 3. Yes. Now EG is equal to 4. EG, it will form a cycle, don't include. FG, FG also it will form a cycle. BD, it will form a cycle, don't include. CH is equal to 4, yeah, it will also form a cycle. DE, DE, it will form a cycle, don't include. FH, FH, it will form a cycle, so don't include. Okay, so this is the spanning tree. AB, this is the required spanning tree. Okay, and what is the sum of the weights? Sum of the weights of, this is a minimum spanning tree. Okay, weight of the minimum spanning tree, minimal spanning tree, is equal to 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3. So 2, 8 plus 3, I think I got 14, 1 second. 1 plus 2, 3 2s, no? Wait, here I have not written this 3, yes. So 3 plus 3. BC it is 3, I did not write this 3, yeah. So 2, 8 plus 6, 14. 14 is the minimum weight, okay. So hope you have written well, and all the best for your results. Thank you for listening.